Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Beneath the Archuleta Mesa in Dulce, New Mexico, there is said to be a top-secret complex. Strange humming sounds seem to come from under the earth near the town of Dulce, and that paired with the presence of military helicopters that are spotted around the area lend credence to the speculation. The complex is said to be a genetics lab in which humans and extraterrestrials conduct experiments on things such as fish, seals, birds, and mice, vastly altering them from their original forms. There are also multi-arm and multi-legged humans, and several cages of humanoid bat-like creatures up to 7 feet tall. Leaked documents, witness reports, and ex-workers in the facility have all been reported. An interviewer under the pen name Branton claimed to have interviewed some ex-employees, one of which stated, "The aliens have taught the humans a lot about genetics, things both useful and dangerous." The American government denies the existence of the complex. During the past years, there have been several unexplained livestock attacks and cryptid sightings on the Dine Navajo lands in the Four Corners region. In particular, those areas in northwest New Mexico. Many of these attacks were most likely the result of Bigfoot-type hominids that are regularly seen in this area. Other attacks have a more bizarre angle, especially when the tracks of the perpetrator are of an unfamiliar genus and/or suddenly end in mid-stride, as well as animal carcasses drained of blood and not fed upon. The Archuleta Mesa area near Dulce, New Mexico, has long been rumored to hold a joint government-alien biogenetic laboratory designed to carry out bizarre experiments on humans and animals. It has also been said that the lower levels of this underground system stretches between Dulce and Los Alamos, 90 miles to the southeast. Because of the proximity of these facilities to the Dine Navajo lands, is it possible that these attacks are of unknown experimental beings that have either escaped from the facility or have been released in order to be scientifically monitored? It may seem to be a far-fetched hypothesis, unless of course you are the victim of the attacks and have no idea of what you're dealing with. The following narratives may temper your resolve or offer some curiosity to the question. The following is a testimony from a student. When I was an undergraduate studying genetics in the mid-1970s, I did a 10-month internship at Dulce Labs. My primary duties were on level 1. That's where I spent almost all of my time. But once a week I accompanied one of the junior researchers to levels 5, 6, and 7 to collect data tapes and other documentation. I never got past the clear zone on those levels, but on a couple occasions I heard inhuman shrieks and wailing noises on level 6. I was told that level 6 was a psychiatric facility for especially disturbed patients, and that they were known to have emotional outbursts. On one occasion, while we were waiting for someone to bring out the tapes, I heard part of a message come through the intercom, and the words are burned into my memory. Voice 1. Cell 34, compromised, entity has breached containment. After a pause, a second voice came over the speaker. Voice 2. Available personal report to the Blue Zone for C&C. Maximum force authorized. The guard at the desk told me and my colleague that we had to leave immediately. We were rushed back into the elevator before the materials were delivered to us. It was 2 days before they let us go pick up the tapes, and when we went that time, everything was normal. Nobody ever talked about it. I tried to ask my colleague, the junior researcher who was there at the time, about it, but he said he didn't know what I was talking about, and something in his tone told me I'd better forget about it too. After I graduated, I was interested in returning to Dulce because I was really excited about the potential for genetic science, and Dulce had some very advanced equipment and knowledge, better than anything being used anywhere else. But I was told that there weren't any openings. I wondered if I was being blown off because of my curiosity about that event, if I was considered a risk. I tried contacting the junior researcher but never got a response from him. MP. The following is a statement from a previous employee. The Human Genome Project may well have the greatest direct impact on humanity of any scientific initiative before us today, said David Shirley, director of the Berkeley Laboratory. Covertly, this research has been going on for years at the Dulce Biogenetics Labs. Level 6 is hauntingly known by employees as Nightmare Hall. It holds the genetic labs at Dulce. Reports from workers who have seen bizarre experimentation are as follows. I have seen multi-legged humans that look like half-human/half octopus, also reptilian humans and furry creatures that have hands like humans and cries like a baby. It mimics human words. Also a huge mixture of lizard humans in cages. There are fish, seals, birds and mice that can barely be considered those species. There are several cages and vats of winged humanoids, grotesque bat-like creatures, but 3.5 to 7 feet tall, gargoyle-like beings and draco-reptoids. Level 7 is worse. Row after row of thousands of humans and human mixtures in cold storage. Here too are embryo storage vats of humanoids in various stages of development. I frequently encountered humans in cages, usually dazed or drugged, but sometimes they cried and begged for help. We were told they were hopelessly insane and involved in high-risk drug tests to cure insanity. We were told to never try to speak to them at all. At the beginning, we believed that story. Finally, in 1978, a small group of workers discovered the truth. It began the Dulce Wars. A witness also provided the following information. An underground military base laboratory in Dulce, New Mexico, connects with the underground network of tunnels which honeycombs our planet, and the lower levels of this base are allegedly under the control of inner Earth beings or aliens. This base is connected to Los Alamos research facilities via an underground tube shuttle. It can be assumed that such a shuttleway would be a straight-line construction. It should then be possible by using maps and some deduction to determine the most likely location of this base, especially since the general location is already known. Beginning in 1947, a road was built near the Dulce base under the cover of a lumber company. No lumber was ever hauled, and the road was later destroyed. Navajo Dam is the Dulce base's main source of power, though a second source is in El Vado, which is also another entrance. Most of the lakes near Dulce were made via government grants for the Indians. The following post will go into greater detail of the inner structure of the compound. Attached is a picture diagram. Dulce Base, the central hub. First level contains the garage for street maintenance. Second level contains the garage for trains, shuttles, tunnel boring machines, and UFO maintenance. Third level. The first 3 levels contain government offices. Fourth level. Human aura. Research, as well as aspects of dream manipulation, hypnosis, and telepathy. They can lower your heartbeat with delta waves and introduce data and programmed reactions into your mind for those implanted with brain chips. Most people already are. They just don't know it. Fifth level. Witnesses have described huge vats with amber liquid with parts of human bodies being stirred inside. Rows and rows of cages holding men, women, and children to be used as food. Perhaps thousands. Sixth level, privately called Nightmare Hall. It contains the genetic labs. Here are where the crossbreeding experiments of human-animal are done on fish, seals, birds, and mice that are vastly altered from their original forms. There are multi-armed and multi-legged humans and several cages and vats of humanoid bat-like creatures up to 7 feet tall. Seventh level. Row after row of thousands of humans in cold storage, including children. It is alleged that Los Alamos and the mountainous regions east and southeast of it in and around the Santa Fe National Forest are the major holding area of Earth-based extraterrestrial, intraterrestrial beings in North America, although there are a number of smaller habitation locations scattered throughout the underground networks between Dulce and Area 51. Dulce Base is said to hold the second largest repository of extraterrestrials and equipment in North America. None of this information takes into account what resources other nations and governments possess. The majority of evidence is anecdotal. The following researchers are some of the most prolific original sources to the Dulce complex. Paul Benowitz was a physicist in Albuquerque and a UFO researcher affiliated with APRO, Aerial Phenomena Research Organization. Traveled to Dulce in 1977 to investigate reports of cattle being mutilated on the ranch of Edmond Gomez. He became acquainted with the local law enforcement official in the area of the Jicarilla Indian Reservation, Gabe Valdez, and the two investigated the mutilations and also some mysterious lights reportedly seen over Archuleta Mesa. 2 gentlemen named Howard Burgess and John F. Gilles, Jean-Francois Gilles, also seem to have been involved in these investigations. Not long after, Benowitz, along with a doctor, Leo Sprinkle, studied the case of Myrna Hansen, who said under hypnosis that she had been abducted by the aliens and taken to a secret underground base where they saw the cattle being mutilated and drained of their blood and vats containing human body parts. She also claimed implants were placed in the bodies of her and her son, and that the aliens could control their minds through these devices. Benowitz began filming the strange lights he was seeing over Manzano. He also built a complex electronic surveillance equipment network to receive low-frequency electromagnetic transmissions that he believed came from the alien craft. Benowitz had several contacts with Air Force officials that he tried to warn about the threat represented by aliens against the Manzano weapons storage area. The year after, Benowitz wrote a computer program that he claimed could translate the alien radio transmissions. He now came to believe that he was intercepting the messages that the aliens were transmitting to mind control devices, such as those that Myrna Hansen claimed had been placed in her and her son. During this period, 1980 to 1987, Benowitz was visited by many other UFO researchers, including John Lear and Linda Moulton Howe. In 1987, another abductee named Krista Tilton added to the tales of underground bases and aliens and vats with human body parts in them. Benowitz told Thomas More, the famous ufologist, that the alien transmissions he had received indicated that the Greys, who he said were responsible for cattle mutilations and the abductions of humans, were building a secret underground base beneath Archuleta Peak on the Jicarilla Indian Reservation near Dulce, New Mexico, with the help of the US government. When he said in a final burst of paranoia that aliens were coming through the wall of his house to inject him with chemicals, it was time to send him to the hospital. The report says that he has recovered, but now refuses to deal with the subject of UFOs. Thomas Edwin Castello is another eyewitness. Castello claimed to be a former security technician employed by the Rand Corporation at the Dulce Underground facility. However, Castello has only provided stories, nothing solid, and has yet to come forward in person. There is some doubt as to whether he actually exists. He allegedly stole a set of controversial papers called the Dulce Papers, along with over 30 black and white photos and a videotape. The documents, pictures and tape are not easily, if at all, attainable, and any supposed materials that are claimed to be the originals are suspect. Castello reported that the Dows, Greys, the Dracos, Reptiloids, and the Chiacars are working their hand in hand with over 18,000 short Greys living the Dulce facility. A colleague had come face to face with a 6-foot-tall reptoid which had materialized in his house. The reptoid showed an interest in research maps of New Mexico and Colorado which were on the wall. The maps were full of colored pushpins and markers to indicate sites of animal mutilations, caverns, locations of high UFO activity, repeated flight paths, abduction sites, ancient ruins, and suspected alien underground bases. The multi-level facility at Dulce is reported to have a central hub which is controlled by base security. The security level goes up as one descends to lower levels. Thomas had an Ultra 7 clearance. He knew of 7 sub-levels, but there may have been more. Most of the aliens supposedly are on levels 5, 6, and 7 with alien housing on level 5. The only sign in English was over the tube shuttle station hallway which read, "To Los Alamos." There appears to be a vast network of tube shuttle connections under the US, which extends into a global system of tunnels and sub-cities. Connections go from Dulce to the Page, Arizona facility, then onto an underground base below Area 51 in Nevada. Tube shuttles go to and from Dulce to facilities below Taos, New Mexico, Datil, New Mexico, Colorado Springs, Colorado, Creede, Colorado, Sandia, then onto Carlsbad, New Mexico. At the Dulce base, most signs on doors and hallways are in the alien symbol language and a universal symbol system understood by humans and aliens. Thomas stated that after the second level, everyone is weighed in the nude, then given a uniform. Visitors are given off-white uniforms, jumpsuits with a zipper. The weight of the person is put on a computer ID card each day. Any change in weight is noted. If over 3 pounds, a physical exam and X-ray is required. Scales are located in front of all sensitive areas and are built into the floor near doorways and the door control panels. An individual places his computer ID card into the door slot, then enters a numerical code onto a keypad. The person's weight and code must match the card or the door will not open. Any discrepancy will summon security. No one is allowed to carry anything into sensitive areas. All supplies are put on a conveyor belt and X-rayed. The same method is used in leaving sensitive areas. All elevators are controlled magnetically. There are no elevator cables. The magnetic system is inside the walls of the elevator shaft. There are no normal electrical controls. Everything is controlled by advanced magnetics, including lighting. There are no regular light bulbs, and the tunnels are illuminated by phosphorus units with broad structureless emission bands. Some deep tunnels use a form of phosphorus pentoxide to temporarily illuminate areas. The aliens won't go near these areas for unknown reasons. Level 1 contains the garage for street maintenance. Level 2 contains the garage for trains, shuttles, tunnel boring machines, and disk maintenance. The studies on Level 4 include human aura research, as well as all aspects of telepathy, hypnosis, and dreams. Thomas says that they know how to separate the bioplasmic body from the physical body to place an alien entity, life force matrix, within a human body after removing the soul life force matrix of the human. Level 6 is privately called Nightmare Hall. It holds the genetic labs where experiments are done on fish, seals, birds, and mice that are vastly altered from their original form. There are multi-armed and multi-legged humans and several cages and vats of humanoid bat-like creatures as tall as 7 feet, as previously stated. At level 7, Thomas encountered humans in cages. Row after row of thousands of humans, human mixture remains, and embryos of humanoids were kept in cold storage, as previously stated. The grey and reptoid species are highly analytical and technologically oriented. They have had ancient conflicts with the Nordic humans from other space societies, and may be staging here for a future conflict. Intensely into computing and bioengineering sciences, they are led to doing reckless experiments, without regard for what we consider to be ethical and empathetic conduct toward other living creatures. Principal government organizations involved in mapping human genetics, the so-called genome projects, are within the Department of Energy, which has a heavy presence on the Nevada test site, the National Institute of Health, the National Science Foundation, the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, and of course the Dulce underground labs, which are run by the Department of Energy. Thomas had revealed that the chief of the genetic experiments for Los Alamos and Dulce is Larry Devon. According to Thomas, the alien androgenal breeder is capable of parthenogenesis. At Dulce, the common form of reproduction is by polyembryony. Each embryo can and does divide into 6 to 9 individual cuni, pronounced cuni, that is siblings. The needed nutriment for the developing cuni is supplied by the formula, which usually consist of plasma, deoxyhemoglobin, albumin, lysozyme, cation, amniotic fluid, and more. The term genome is used to describe the totality of the chromosomes unique to a particular organism or any cell within an organism, as distinct from the genotype, which is the information contained within those chromosomes. The human genes are mapped to specific chromosomal locations. This is an ambitious project that will take years and a lot of computer power to accomplish. Thomas also states the aliens don't want the land, the gold, the minerals or water that we possess, nor even the human or animal life. What they do want is magnetic power that surges on and through the earth. The aliens harvest this magic power in a way unknown to us. Thomas says the aliens recognize this power as more valuable than any other commodity on our globe. The following 3 images are a very few of the pictures supposedly leaked by Thomas Castello. Keep in mind the photos were reported to have been in black and white, which these are not. Computer effects for visual purposes could be the explanation. In no way do I credit these are original photos. I show them to give a better possible representation of the Dulce base. Phil Schneider was another witness. He was a highly intelligent engineer who claimed to have discovered the alien base accidentally. Schneider is said to have committed self-termination, but others claim he was found with either piano wire or rubber catheter hose wrapped around his throat, which indicated that he was murdered, ostensibly to silence him. Some sources say that Schneider both had severe brain damage and was also a paranoid schizophrenic, which possibly makes his stories about Dulce questionable. Reportedly, he stated the following. Back in 1954, under the Eisenhower administration, the federal government decided to circumvent the Constitution of the United States and form a treaty with alien entities. It was called the 1954 Grader Treaty, which basically made the agreement that the aliens involved could take a few cows and test their implanting techniques on a few human beings, but that they had to give details about the people involved. Slowly, the aliens altered the bargain until they decided they wouldn't abide by it at all. Back in 1979, this was the reality, and the firefight at Dulce occurred quite by accident. I was involved in building an addition to the deep underground military base at Dulce, which is probably the deepest base. It goes down 7 levels and over 2.5 miles deep. At that particular time, we had drilled 4 distinct holes in the desert, and we were going to link them together and blow out large sections at a time. My job was to go down the holes and check the rock samples and recommend the explosive to deal with the particular rock. As I was headed down there, we found ourselves amidst a large cavern that was full of outer space aliens, otherwise known as large greys. I shot 2 of them. At that time, there were 30 people down there. About 40 more came down after this started, and all of them got killed. We had surprised a whole underground base of existing aliens. Later, we found out that they had been living on our planet for a long time, perhaps 1 million years. This could explain a lot of what is behind the theory of ancient astronauts.
Phosphorus pentoxide is not flammable. It reacts vigorously with water, and water-containing substances like wood or cotton liberates much heat and may even cause fire. It is corrosive to metal and is very irritating. May cause severe burn to the eye, skin, mucous membrane, and respiratory tract even at concentrations as low as 1 milligram a cubic meter. This might be the reason for them not wanting to go into the deep tunnels.
Phil was supposedly one of the 3 people to survive the 1979 Dulce firefight between the large greys, US intelligence, and military at the Dulce underground base. More information on the Dulce firefight. In 1979, a grey was giving a lecture to an unknown determined number of scientists. During the lecture, a security officer came into the area with a sidearm on his belt. It was strictly forbidden to carry any weapons of any kind anywhere in the vicinity of the greys. The security officer was instantly killed by the grey. Other security personnel, witnessing what was happening in that room on the security cameras, came to retaliate. The grey, according to the information, allegedly killed everybody. The manner in which the grey killed these people has not been disclosed, but it was noted that the cause of deaths were head wounds. The approximate number killed was just over 60 scientists and security personnel. It was reported for the most part an unfortunate accident and was classified as such.
The following are excerpts from an interview with Thomas Castello.
There are several things you should know about. I took an oath under the penalty of death that no matter what I saw or heard, I would never divulge the information. Also, I signed a waiver that states I would willingly give up my life if I was found guilty of treason. At the Dulce base, treason is anything that mentions the details of daily operations at this facility when outside the confinement of this base. When I first arrived, a need-to-know policy was in effect. The story the honchos told us was that this is a tri-biotransfer facility with advanced technology, doing advanced adventurous methodology for medical and mental gains, which is a fancy way of saying they do really risky things with human life just to see what would happen. If a medical cure happens, it will be heralded on the surface of the earth as a marvelous new cure, saying it was found after years of research at some well-known medical lab. The real story of the cure is never explained. After all, the Dulce base is a secret facility. These people are very good at what they do. They do not tell the truth about the unfortunate people that end up in Nightmare Hall. I worked with aliens. With that in mind, you should get the idea of the secrecy and the security at that place. Yes, I know this was not the usual hospital-type job site, but in the beginning I bought the whole package. I was reminded daily by intercom in the elevators that this site does high-risk advanced medical and drug testing to cure insanity. Please, never speak to the inmates. It can destroy years of work. I'm sensible. When doctors say don't speak to them, who was I to destroy the delicate situation? But one man somehow caught my eye. He repeatedly stated that he was George S. and that he had been kidnapped, and he was sure someone was searching for him. I don't know why he sticks in my mind. I found I was remembering his face, thinking he sure didn't look or sound insane, but many inmates said that. The next weekend, I convinced a friend of mine, a cop, to run a check on the guy, saying I had a run-in with him and was curious. I didn't mention the base at all. It was a sickening feeling when the computer confirmed that George S. was missing. What's worse, the cops thought he was just another guy that got tired of the daily grind and split. That was the beginning. Am I the one that blew the whistle? No. The next Monday, I searched for George, but he was gone. There were no records that explained what happened to him. It was another security officer that came to me saying he and some lab workers wanted an off-duty meeting at one of the tunnels, off the record. Curiosity took over and I said okay. That night, about 9 men showed up. They said they knew they were risking me turning them in, but they wanted to show me some things they thought I should see. One by one, they showed records that proved many inmates were missing people. There were newspaper clippings and even photos that they had somehow smuggled into the base. They hoped to smuggle them back out without me turning them into the honchos. I could see the fear in their faces as they spoke. One man stated he would rather lose his life by trying than to lose his soul by not doing anything at all. It was that remark that turned the tide. I told them about George and the things I found out about him. After a few hours, we pledged to attempt to expose the Dulce base. The worker caste does the daily chores, mopping the latex floors, cleaning the cages, bringing food to the hungry people and other species. It is their job to formulate the proper mixture for the Type 1 and Type 2 beings that the Draco race has created. The working caste work at the labs as well as at the computer banks. Basically speaking, the reptilian races are active at all levels of the Dulce base. There are several different races of aliens that work on the east section of level 6. That section is commonly called the alien section. The Draco are the undisputed masters of the 5, 6, 7 levels. The humans are second in command of those levels. I had to argue with one large draconian boss frequently. His name is difficult to verbalize, Kashfast, pronounced throaty Kashfast. I usually called him Kash, and he hated it. The draconian leaders are very formal when talking to the human race. These ancient beings consider us a lower race. Kash called me Leader Castello, but it was used in a sarcastic way. However, the worker caste is friendly enough, as long as you allow them to speak first. They will answer if you address them. They are very cautious beings, and consider most humans to be hostile. They always seemed surprised when they found many of the humans were open and trustworthy. There is no fraternizing with the aliens off hours. It is forbidden to speak to any alien race, in the halls or an elevator, without a clear, business-oriented reason. Humans can talk to humans, and aliens can speak to aliens, but that is as far as it goes. At the worksite, however, it's different. There is free speech in the labs. The camaraderie found in the labs also reaches the computer bank section. In those areas, everybody talks to anybody. However, everything changes the minute you cross the threshold of the hall. Instantly, all conversations become strictly formal. Hard as it was, several times I had to arrest someone simply because they spoke to an alien. It's a strange place. Kash's name means Keeper of the Laws. They receive their name after they reach the age of awareness. They do not recognize time as an important factor in being aware the way humans do. Upon their age of awareness, they are cognitive of the station or position they are destined to fulfill. At that time, they chose or allowed someone to choose their name. Their name will include the position they hold and several personally chosen letters. Each letter has a personal meaning, known only to the alien and the one that chose their name. Since Kash's name means Keeper of the Laws, his name includes Kash, memory or keep, base word for Akashic's record, and Fasht, law, base word fast or bind. Reptilians choose to be not only private, but secretive of the location of their natal place. To them, birth or emergence of life is considered as one of the sacred rites of life. They consider Earth or Terra their home planet, but several reptoids discuss several star maps. Most of those stars were within the Milky Way. Within those star maps lie the stars and planets of the planets of the Allegiance, Earth being one of the planets in their trade routes. If any human asked clear questions about the Allegiance, the aliens referred the questions to the Draco. The Draco, in turn, referred the questions to their supervisor, me. I did not have that information about the stars, because information was supplied on a need-to-know basis. I didn't need that information.
OP, I don't deny I too believe that vast structures exist underground devoted to research that would be met with extreme controversy. In a college I lived near, they had a program nurturing zebrafish embryos combined with human DNA. All of their embryos must be terminated after a certain number of days. Therefore, I think it is safe to say that some less than ideal creatures may have been brought to fruition. Not only that, who is to say if disfigured humans were seen, that they were alive? They may have been botched, leading to the generally recognized ban on cloning complete humans. I don't think we've begun experimentation on cloning humans. It has been in recent years noted that cloned animals raised in the same environment display different personalities. What good would cloning a human have if the cloned human would have a mind of his or her own? That may be very well why attention has been turned toward grafting organs with cells synthetically. I don't think what you describe is exactly what is going on. I couldn't argue someone may have walked in and seen some messed up stuff. I couldn't imagine seeing a row of failed human clones, or animal-human hybrids that may very well have looked strange. Or if we did experiment, the results may have been grotesque.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.
There's also a Rumble archive as a backup.